hope you're all doing well in these times of quarantine and lockdown. I know it's something that none of us expected, but here we are. My name is Zuzana. I'm a co-founder of Malay Biomaterials. You know, working with craftspeople is sometimes very challenging because they hold so much knowledge that's been accumulated over generations and generations and generations, and this knowledge you cannot really find in, you know, scientific articles or books. Very often you cannot, because it's just orally transmitted from you know, father to the son or something like that. But there are people who think with their hands very often, so even, you know, being near them, you can learn so much. For us at Malay, working with traditional craftsmen was essential because, you know, for us the most important thing was to develop a material that has very good ecological credentials, which means we didn't want anything of aggressive chemical nature, anything synthetic, any plastics in our material. And if you look at the way things are made these days thoroughly, you'll find traces, at least traces of plastics and synthetic, almost anything, you know, because they are so cheap and they are so widespread all over the world. So the decision not to include them in our materials was actually more challenging than we initially realized, but we had to go you know, back with the research. We had to find out, okay, you know, the synthetics started being used sometimes in 1930s, 1940s. So what was there before? And that's when the ancient crafts, traditional knowledge come into picture, because these people know that. Many of them changed, you know, their ingredients for synthetic over the year, but the older generations would still somehow remember what used to be theirs. Yes, it is, and I think it is also kind of a new field that's been there maybe for the past 5-8 years globally. And I find that fashion is a wonderful carrier of such a change, not only because it's one of the most polluting industries in the world, but also because it's been able to admit that it has problems, you know. And so many people use fashion as a mode of self-expression, a mode of expressing their attitudes, their views, you know. What's the better way of doing it than fashion? I think that's a wonderful starting point. Of course, it's not where it should end, and it's a monstrous industry. It's huge, you know. It might take the next 50-70 years to make it at least, you know, 40-50% sustainable, but who knows, maybe there will be a radical change, such as, you know, COVID-19 happens, so who knows. To be very honest, in order to be 100% sustainable, we probably shouldn't be making anything at all, because we already have a stock of anything and everything in fashion for the next couple of years, maybe even next, you know, 10 years. So in my ideal scenario, you know, let's use this stock up and let's use this time that we have, not for overproduction of things we don't need, but for the research and development of new processes, of new materials, of new approaches that are really going to make a difference. I think I would mention Microworks. They are developing, or they have developed, beautiful material, also an alternative to leather, from mycelium, and they've been able to bring this material to a whole new level. I personally also really love the concept of swap shops. I know that's maybe not entirely new, but I think it really challenges our views on the concept of ownership. And it's also really changing the way we perceive second-hand clothes. But overall, I think in order to make a better future, more sustainable future, we should use all the time we have right now to reconsider our values. That's the most important and crucial thing.